We are back answering your stimulus questions with Scott Braddock from Scott Braddock Financial and Mark Hensley from AARP North Carolina Triad Region. A lot of questions coming in, really just kind of all different areas. One that maybe a lot of people are wondering, do I have to apply for the stimulus?
You shouldn't have to apply to receive your stimulus. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, that's exactly correct. You don't have to. Everybody's entitled to this as long as you meet the income thresholds. So a single individual is 75,000, for couples 150. Now you will start to receive less stimulus, and I know some folks are saying, "Hey, I only received a certain amount, and it's less than the $600." Well, there's some different reasons for that. I'll let Mark touch on one. But one reason is because if your income is above those two different thresholds, for every $100 over, you're going to be reduced by $5. So you could receive less due to your income threshold.
So there's also some age limitations. A dependent in this stimulus, as well as the first one, was defined as age 16 and younger. And if that means a lot of high school students and certainly a lot of college students that are counted as a dependent by their parents on their taxes are not eligible to receive a stimulus payment, either as a dependent or as an adult, because they fall into that crack. Now, the good news is the second stimulus, if you're a working adult in 2020 and you will be filing taxes, the Congress has put in a provision that on line 30, you can insert that $600 as a tax rebate if you did not already receive it.
Someone says, if I'm expecting a direct deposit payment of my stimulus, shouldn't I have that by now?
Well, there has been over 100 million direct deposits. There's been 8 million debit cards that have been issued, and an unspecified number of paper checks will be going out. Today was the deadline to make those deposits. So I would say if you don't see it in your bank account, that it's possible that you may receive a paper check at this point in time, or possibly there was an issue with your banking information.
Someone texts, I changed my bank account since the last stimulus. How will I get this one?
So that's really going to cause an issue. And again, as Scott said, just because you got direct deposit the last time doesn't mean you're going to get that this time. And if you've changed bank accounts, that puts a wrinkle in there for the IRS. Again, this shut off by today, and then this period of time between now and filing your taxes, all of these errors will be correctable when you file your 21 taxes. And again, that date has now changed, as we mentioned earlier, beginning on February the 12th, you can start filing your taxes for 2020.
So you really shouldn't be, if this is you, the person who sent this text message, you shouldn't just call up the IRS.
So I want to answer that specifically. In the second round of stimulus, the IRS put out a big blanket message, do not call us. They apparently are overwhelmed. At one time, they had a hotline that is no longer available. Again, I recommend your first step is to go to that Get My Payment at irs.gov, see what you can find out. But by the time it's time for you to file your taxes, you should know whether or not you got it and if you need to claim it when you submit your 2020 taxes.
Why would someone only get $184 of stimulus?
Well, I know Mark and I were talking, and that's been coming up. There have been some odd amounts being deposited, and it does look like it's an error. Does look like there could be an error there. However, as I mentioned earlier, it also could be because of income. But the real concern is for folks that are lower income that are receiving these lesser amounts. And I agree with Mark. There's going to be some issues with this huge rollout. And so the good news there is that there's going to be time to rectify and fix these issues.
Will you still get the stimulus if you owe federal money?
All right, so this is a really big question, an important question here, because there's some a nuance here that was different from the first stimulus check. The answer to that question, however, is yes. In fact, everyone is entitled to this stimulus check. With the first stimulus check, it was said that if you had owed back child support, that your stimulus check would actually go towards that child support debt. However, with this new stimulus check, everyone, including those that owe back child support, will receive their stimulus check this round. So even with federal taxes being owed, there is no reason that you would not receive it if you're entitled to it.
Can I use stimulus money for anything?
Well, you really can, and you're encouraged to spend the stimulus. It's in a way, of course, to help, and for the most important reason is to help challenging folks that have been really suffering and during these challenging times. And so by spending the check, we're also helping to stimulate the economy. The economy has somewhat of a spending hole, if you will, due to the pandemic and folks being having to shelter in place and businesses closing. So they would love to see you spend the money, and you can spend it on anything.
If I didn't do my 2019 taxes, can I still get a stimulus check? We actually get a lot of questions through voicemail, people who say that they have SSI and they don't file their taxes.
Okay, so that's there's a couple of points there. If you have not filed your 2019 taxes, then the IRS doesn't have anything to go on. So you'll need to claim that when you file your 2020 taxes so that you can eventually get it. If you are receiving SSI or any other type of payment like Social Security, federal railroad retirement, those are all programs that the federal government knows who you are. Those are direct deposits each month. And those folks are supposed to also receive that stimulus payment. It does not count as income toward their benefit. So people on Medicaid have been very concerned. But then the question becomes, well, if I didn't get it, am I eligible? And the answer is yes. File that 1040 SR so that you can receive the stimulus payment in 2021.
Okay, Mark and Scott, 2 down, 1 to go. Thanks so much for your insight. We appreciate it. Keep texting your questions to 336-379-5775, and we'll be right back.